Did we ever figure out exactly what was the source of Portia and Simon's latest beef? Also, we didn't talk about Kelly. I mean, is Kelly running around Atlanta causing some ruckus down in the streets? And what was Robyn's clapback to K Michelle? I mean, these are things that we need to discuss. So sit down, saddle up, and let's get into it all right now. First of all, Portia and Simon. So this was at the center of what we have been discussing with all of those subliminal posts that were going on between Simon and Portia. And I was like, y'all, I really don't even understand quite what is happening right now. But I understand that Portia has got a massive donk and she don't mind putting it on display. But lest you get distracted by all that, let me remove the slide back and shout out our friends at the Jasmine brand, because now we know what had happened and why they were going blow for blow, throwing bows the other day online. So apparently, a Georgia judge rejected Simon's appeal to overturn the prenup, because you know that man is appealing and appealing, upholding the terms of their divorce that was finalized in June. Now, apparently, the ruling grants Porsha $40,000 per month, yes, and spousal support for 14 months, half the equity in their home, with housing costs covered by Simon for the next 36 months, several luxury vehicles, and $224,000 in legal fees. I mean, that is quite a payday. However, Simon is not taking this line down. He told People magazine, "We intend to continue pursuing the appeal as we have not yet exhausted all legal remedies. I anticipate a resolution within approximately 12 to 24 months, depending on how far the opposition chooses to take the matter. In addition, I have a federal defamation case that has yet to be heard, and we are now preparing for the discovery phase at the pace set by the federal courts. I am a very patient man. Patience has served me well over 40 years in both my personal and professional life, and I am confident that I will ultimately prevail." Stay tuned. Okay. All right. So, I mean, I can't tell nobody what to do with their money. I mean, at the end of the day, I'm assuming that he would rather teach her a lesson than simply quickly move on and take the L and just rebuild. Because I mean, I always feel like this: people who make money can make more money. And would it not be more? I mean, would it not be more advantageous if you are that rich to just simply go and make a whole ton of more money and leave this mess in your rearview mirror, especially given that you can't even come back to the United States? Because I don't think, I mean, and listen, maybe, and he talks about how much patience he has. I mean, you got to have that much patience if you have gone through this whole process of trying to get citizenship for all these many years and it ain't worked. So, I mean, we can't argue with that. So I don't know that the next 2 years is going to be worth it to keep fighting this and keep paying legal fees for something that you could probably just move on from and it's over and done in 2 years. But again, I mean, you can't argue with what the person is fighting for. So with that, I just kind of got to leave it at that. I mean, but I'm assuming we will be hearing a lot more from this, because honestly, we live in a digital world, and once he makes a post online, it's going to go viral. All right. So there is the tea with that. Let's get into Kelly. I mean, these are some bits and bobs that we have not had a chance to cover. And these have been things that have just been popping off in the media. Kelly Farrell. Y'all, the judge granted temporary protective order against her after her neighbor claims that she entered her home without permission and had to be physically restrained, and alleges that a confrontation stemmed from a vehicle being booted for parking in a fire lane. Now, let's get into the story and we'll kind of give you the thoughts. This is fresh from the neighborhood talk. All right. So, a judge, as we talked about it, the restraining order was basically, handed out after the neighbor claimed that Kelly entered her home without permission. Now, according to Us Weekly, the neighbor also happens to be on the HOA board and claims that the incident occurred on August 9th after a vehicle near Kelly's property was booted for being parked in a fire lane. Now, well, let's go on and then I'll kind of give you my thoughts. The woman alleges that Kelly, accompanied by others, entered the private patio through her gate and had to be physically restrained. She said during that time, Kelly displayed bizarre behavior and hurled insults at her. She also claims that she has video footage of the incident. She requested that a judge order Kelly to stay away from her and her family and that Kelly receive psychiatric and psychological services. A judge granted the temporary restraining order requiring Kelly to stay 30 yards away. A hearing is set for September 22nd to determine if the order will become permanent. So I'm quite sure that based on what we could see of Kelly's house, it appears as though Kelly lives pretty functionally, right? In terms of her house. And when we think about the proximity that we could see it being to other houses, we can maybe estimate that this is maybe a pretty tight community of nice homes, right? So for me, what I'm wondering is with the glam people, wardrobe, hair, makeup, all of the things that we know that Kelly loves, plus filming crews and parking for, there's a lot. I'm going to tell you, just from my own experience, there's a lot of cars and chaos that comes along with filming a reality TV show. In addition to all this extra personnel that may have to be included. So there's going to be an excess amount of cars and things that are parked in and around her home and in her space during the filming process. And again, this is making an assumption, right? I don't know this to be true, but I'm kind of giving you my thoughts based on what I do know. And so I'm kind of wondering if maybe some of that need to park in a fire lane was probably from somebody who maybe needed to come in and kind of run something in real quick. And maybe, I don't know, but maybe, there has been a lot of complaints about that, in the neighborhood. And maybe this neighbor, I don't know if maybe Kelly thought it was this neighbor that made the complaint. We don't know what happened. All of this is alleged. In terms of what this is my own speculation. I don't know. My wonder is that if maybe Kelly thought that this neighbor was a problem and she needed to go handle it. I don't know. I guess if the woman ever releases the footage, then we'll see. But yeah, Kelly, they making it sound like Kelly around there getting buck wild up in that neighborhood. Real Housewives of Atlanta, baby. Do you think they're going to talk about this on the show? I wonder. Girl, you got the people making reports on you. All right. And the husband already at it. So Kelly gonna have a lot going on this season. All right. Randomness, a lot of randomness going on. All right. So now that we talked about Kelly, let's talk about K. Michelle. Now, you will recall the other day we talked about how the reasonably shady ladies, i.e., Giselle and Robyn, talked a lot about, what was going on down with the casting for the Real Housewives of Atlanta. And they were like, asking has Atlanta run out of people? I'm going to tell you the truth. I felt like what they were saying was not necessarily surprising because I think that we all kind of ask that question. Maybe we don't say it out loud, but we do ask the question it's shocking that we can't find new faces to discover. But again, I think because of Atlanta and Beverly Hills being sort of these big entertainment hubs, I feel like the network kind of leans into finding faces that are already kind of like big in the entertainment world for those particular franchises. Whereas for like a Potomac or a maybe even a Miami, or although I've heard about some casting from Miami, but I'll keep that to myself for now because I don't know how true that is. But Miami, Salt Lake City, we get these unknowns that we get to discover, which is why I oftentimes think that these shows are doing so well, because we don't have there's no preconceived notion about who these people are supposed to be. We don't have to worry about these people trying to come on and have this certain type of image, although that does end up typically happening the more the people kind of come into the show and stay on the show. But anyway, K. Michelle basically called Robyn a couch potato as a result. And she said, I'm around here selling out shows and you selling baseball hats, but you worried about me and what I might be doing, the nerve of this couch potato. So in return, Couch Potato says this, okay? Side note, I don't think Robyn's a couch potato. She says, still selling satin lined baseball hats from my couch. I love it here. And then she says, visit embellishshop.com. Y'all remember when Giselle called it embezzled? The olive green micro suede cap is a perfect fit for fall. All right. So this is kind of how I expected Robyn to respond. And I actually love it. She took it in stride when Nene called her starless, and she's taking this in stride too. And, a lot of people will call her regular Robyn, and I feel like she kind of leans into that quite a bit. And it is what it is at this point. I knew that this would be the type of response that she would have, because she's not necessarily the confrontational type when it comes to doing like social media beefs. So this is pretty much what I expected. And I think that this is a good way to sort of dead the conversation. You know what I'm saying? So I guess we got to say bravo to Robyn for handling it so well after being called starless and a couch potato, because you've got to be in on the joke if you're going to be in this entertainment space, I suppose, right? Last but not least, I want to head on over and shout out to Reality Entertainment TV for that story. But last but not least, I actually want to move into a little bit of tea about Atlanta. I mean, this has been heavy on the Atlanta, baby. So Shamia was on a podcast show, and we have to shout out the Bravo Shade Room for this, and also your friend Trend. So be sure to follow both, right? And like the post. All right, so listen. The headline reads, Shamia says she's happy to have new castmates for season 17 that she can do life with because some of the others are always acting. Okay, so let's rewind it a little bit, because I know a lot of people have comments about what she is saying, right? Because I see the comments here, people asking, well, I thought you made this apology and now you back talking about the girls. Well, we are in a new season, and so there's going to be new conversations. I think at the end of last season when Shamia did that apology video, to be honest with you, felt like she probably was just feeling beat up and she was having a crying moment and it was caught on camera, and that's what it was. Personally, that's what I feel like. She was probably feeling sorry for herself. The people around her had gathered in a sister circle and was lifting her up in hallelujah and prayer. And that was a moment, but I feel like this is a different moment. She's back in the mix. Filming is going. Trips are happening. You know, charges are trying to be filed and whatnot and whoop-de-whoop, right? Couch potatoes are couch potatoing, whatever. But she was indeed asked by the interviewer. She was asked, are there people that you just, you kind of had to determine that you can't do life with on the show? And I'm paraphrasing. And she says, yeah, there's a couple of them, because, some of them, are acting. And she feels like she shows up as her authentic self, and her real life is whatever it is, and that's what the people are gonna get. But that some of her castmates are just acting, and she's happy to have new cast members that she can hopefully discover to do life with. So that was her response to this. All right. She does indicate that things are still, very, very strong with Kelly. Kelly is her kiki girl, the one that she, can nudge on the side and be like, girl, what is happening right now? Woo-de-woo and wah, right? So I don't mind her giving an honest answer. I mean, I'm sure it's going to come back to bite you, Shamia. Someone's going to see the clip. Someone's going to bring it up. Someone's going to inquire who. And what you need to do in that moment is you need to be open and honest about who you feel like is acting and tell them to their face, and then move on from it. That's how you feel. That's what you said. say what you feel and say what you mean and move on. Do not backpedal. Do not punani pop. Do not do any of the above. Do not gaslight them into making them feel that you didn't say it and you weren't talking about them when you were. Say it. Don't spray it. Okay? In that order. Stand on it. Stand 10 toes down in it, because now it's out there. Now you said it. And listen, if you feel differently tomorrow, you feel differently tomorrow. That is your prerogative. Okay? Your prerogative. You just need to own what you say what you mean, and mean what you say, and then stand on it. And I think you will find yourself in a much easier position as you move forward. That will be the thing for you this season, is standing on business on what you said. That's it. That's all you got to do. When somebody asks you, yeah, I said it. I was talking about you. Yeah, that's how I feel. You act. You're not real. Okay, cool. Bye. And that's it. That's all you got to do. All right. All right. So listen, that's my thoughts on little bits and bobs that we haven't had a chance to discuss just quite yet. But now we have. Now we said it. Okay. So with that being said, make sure you guys subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so. Click down in the description of this video for all the links, for all the sources, and also all the things we got going on. We got trips coming up. I'm headed to Zanzibar in about a week or so. We are going to Cape Town in November. That is still open. The deposit is still open and available for you. You can pay a deposit of $450, and then October another payment, and November another payment. It's still on the table for you. We just had literally two people just booked last week. So you can still do this. And then I'll be announcing the next trip for March in just about a week or two. So stay tuned for that. So with that being said, I will catch you in the next video.